So how is the USA economy doing under Donald Trump? That's the subject of today's video. And we got to talk about this stuff because we're actually not going to be getting some government data, important data. Look at this headline. White House says economic data impaired by government shutdown. Okay. Now we know the government is shut down. I think they're voting on it tonight, so they might be opening up soon. But recent data, no good, right? White House says October jobs, inflation reports unlikely to be released. And so this is the first time in history we've had this situation. We don't get the data talking about CPI, unemployment, these kind of things. So what's going on with inflation? What's going on with jobs? We're not going to get an official answer from the government. However, they're going to rely, I guess, on DoorDash, the food delivery company, to do our economic data. For real. I know it sounds stupid, but this is actually the Trump people. Karen Leavitt, press secretary, right? She says, prices are steadying and wages are climbing. New DoorDash report shows. That's their plan, is to rely on a food delivery company to supply the economic data. And they're going to tell you then, okay, prices are great and you're all getting rich, right? Wages are going up. And then what's just even more funny, when they cite the DoorDash data, then they get fact-checked saying that it's misleading, that prices are actually going up, which you guys already know this stuff. Stuff's expensive. I don't have to explain it to you. But evidently I have to explain it to Karen Leavitt and Trumpers, because these people are so disconnected from regular people, and that's why it's laughable when you're trying to use DoorDash data to replace government data. This is the quote then. All of that economic data released will be permanently impaired. Okay. Leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period. Wow. So this is what you're saying. We're blind and we're supposed to trust DoorDash. Okay. So speaking of blind, the UK has said, you know what? We're not sharing info with the USA anymore. This just came out. UK pauses some intelligence sharing with US over Caribbean boat strikes, right? Basically, this is also following the Netherlands, who did a similar thing right here. Netherlands cuts classified intelligence sharing with US over Trump ties to Putin. What the heck? And it's so embarrassing. I want to talk about the seriousness of it and also just absurdity of it, because we are talking about people's lives. I never want to dismiss that fact, because every time I check in with Hegseth, that's the Department of Defense dude, he just keeps talking about we blew up this boat and we killed more people. And now he's warning people, my advice to foreign terrorist organizations, do not get in a boat. And then he went on and on about lawyers.
Honing those skills for many decades in foreign lands. Now we're doing it in defense of the American people with all the authorities. We got lawyers on lawyers. All the authorities necessary to do so, treating these terrorists like the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere.
Which is really weird. If we were doing things the right way, we wouldn't need to be talking about lawyers at all. And if we were doing things the right way, I'm pretty sure the UK wouldn't be like, yo, I'm not sharing intel with the USA. I mean, this is insane. Our allies don't want to share info with us, right? Netherlands and UK. I'm sure there's going to be more in the future. I wouldn't be shocked. Let's read about the UK thing. And if you guys are in the UK, I'd be curious if this is big news for you. Because essentially, I think the UK is I want nothing to do with USA right now. Seriously. That's what it says. The UK has paused some intelligence sharing with the US on counter-narcotic operations in the Caribbean, okay? Over fears the Trump administration's policy of lethal military strikes against suspected smugglers could be illegal. So the UK is I just don't want, you can see it right there. They don't want any part of this. Also says here, the move comes after U.S. destroyed multiple alleged drug boats in recent months, killing dozens of people as part of a broader military buildup in the region. Two people familiar with the situation said the UK had stopped sharing certain intelligence information with the U.S. because of concerns that Washington would use the information to help justify potentially illegal strikes. And there's big concern right now that we're going to strike Venezuela, be a ground strike or something like that. And already Venezuela is mobilizing troops because the USA keeps moving more forces into the region. It is a serious thing. I know we make jokes, but I can't stress this enough. Just think about this. To just put it in the most basic terms, there's people who work hard to build alliances and trust over time, over decades, right? And this idea that our allies are cutting us off, It's just, there's no way you can spin this as positive. And they're cutting us off because they think we're doing stuff illegal. That's where we're at with the USA. And then you get into like bonkers news. I guess we're going to reject visas of people who are too obese or fat. This is actually a headline. I can't even say this with a straight face. This is actually a headline on Fox News. Obese U.S. visa applicants may be rejected to save healthcare taxpayer costs. I mean, and I'm sure they'll come up with, I don't know, are we going to get on a scale now? You have to like write your weight and height, and then you got to check that when you hit the border. I really don't know. This is like part of what they're up to. I'll read this from Fox News. Visa crackdown. A new directive tells U.S. embassies to weigh chronic health issues. And I don't know if that's like literally weigh, but you can weigh it different ways, including obesity, heart, and respiratory disease when deciding who gets visa. So I guess we're going to be involving that stuff. And it feels like, maybe this is Trump's way of, I don't know, cutting off all immigration possible, and this like, look at people and like, you're too heavy, you're not going to get in. We're also losing access to food. This is actually in the Wall Street Journal today. The U.S. is such a bonkers place. Like when I go through this stuff, it doesn't even seem real, these headlines. Like this is a real headline. Italian pasta is poised to disappear from American grocery shelves. Okay, so we're losing intel sharing from the UK and from the Netherlands. We're banning now fat people essentially on visas, I guess it looks like. And now we can't even have pasta in USA from Italy. Is that making America great? Guys, our news is as stupid as it sounds. And this is just a reality. It's just business. It's not. I don't think Italy necessarily hates USA. At least not yet that I'm aware of. But it's just business. Like if it's just not worth it to do business with the USA, you're not getting our pasta. And it's like, I like pasta, guys, and I'm sure lots of people in the USA who like pasta. And if you're gonna get pasta, I think Italy is a good place to get pasta. But and pasta is just one example. There's multiple products and relationships that USA is ruining, and it just, the whole thing is absolutely a bonkers show. And then Trump always tells you how awesome you all are, and because we're bringing in trillions or whatever. And then when you actually look at their news, this is shared from the White House. And they go over this because I want you to understand it. I think that MAGA, I don't know, they just can't read or something, or they can't process it. But the supposed, jobs you're all going to get, it's all data centers. This is what it says. It says from the White House, money's flowing back to America. That's the Trump effect, money bags, right? Anthropic to spend $50 billion on U.S. AI infrastructure, starting with Texas, New York data centers. Okay, so we're going to get, it's so stupid. Okay, so I'll just make it really clear. So the goal of the data center is basically to replace you. If you haven't figured it out, I'm telling you the truth. It's replace you, essentially. And for some people say, well, Chris, you're dumb. The data center and the AI person, that's just going to be an assistant, right? Well, the assistant is going to maybe help you if you still have a job. But if you were the assistant, you're out of a job. Because the company's point of view is like, hey, what if I could cut all the humans that I possibly can? What if I can run an organization with, half as many people? I can cut costs that way. So essentially, many people who are still employed, because we've seen a lot of layoffs lately, they have to take on all the jobs that the people who have left the company, right? And so then the company will say, okay, you can use an AI assistant or whatever. Or if the company finds a way to replace you entirely, they will. So this won't end well. I'm telling you the truth in this stuff, guys. If we're going down this route of like replacing as many people as possible, it's not going to end well, because the U.S. is a consumer-based society. And then essentially the Trump plan then is always get you distracted on a bunch of other stuff like, oh, you got to hate this people today and hate that people today, right? Whilst you don't have a job. So for example, this is what the White House is also tweeting out today. And you'll find some irony here. The White House, okay, they say, the Trump administration is targeting the worst of the worst criminals and removing them from our country. And they got this thing called Operation Dirtbag. That is actually the title of the operation. That's, I guess, what we name in our things. And which is kind of interesting, which ironic. This is the headline then today. Jeffrey Epstein on Trump. I know how dirty Donald is. So like, if you're really serious about doing Operation Dirtbag, you would think that you would get rid of Trump first. But, what does logic have to do with anything in this world? I mean, this is the bonkers world that we're in. And, this is where we are at right now. And I'll just give you my honest point of view on the data and the economy and stuff like that. With Trump as, the president and with all his people, their main goal is just to put money in their own pockets. It's obvious when you see the stuff that they're doing. And then it's even crazy when their associates even say that Trump is dirty. And this is when the email leak that just came out. Basically, I think inflation is going to keep going up. That's sort of how I read on this stuff, because they keep signaling that Trump tries to get his own people in there. They want to lower rates. They want to get borrowing and going again. They've been floating that 50-year mortgage thing. I just think inflation is going to keep going up. And then when you add in, say, all this, AI investment stuff or whatever that they keep pumping, that's going to basically force more unemployment, right? People are going to lose their jobs. And then that's going to ripple across the consumer-based economy. There's no way this ends well. So high unemployment, right? High inflation, and people then, the only way to like keep you going, I guess, is they get you just to like, hey, look at this. We're having a war with Venezuela. Let's rally around the flag. And that's their plan. And I just don't think it's sustainable, especially when our allies are literally pulling out. And then I'm sure Trump are going to do this, like, oh man, I hate the UK, I hate the Netherlands, oh, I hate Italy too, and they'll just like start picking various countries to hate. It's not a viable strategy, guys. I hate to break it to you, and I just want you to think about the reverse. Like, wouldn't it be better if, like, the president of the United States would be like, hey guys, we're making great friends with Italy, and we're making great friends with UK and Netherlands, and then you get official reasons, because he does say that. I mean, I'll just be frank, he does lie to you and say, oh, we're friends with everybody, but you actually do want to hear the other countries, repeat that, and then actually see it in their contracts and such. The way that goes is like Trump brags about all this, money coming in, and then the other countries are always like, Trump's a liar. That's basically what it boils down to. So it's a bonkers world that we live in, and I just try my best to tell you guys what's going on. So thanks for watching. I do appreciate your time, and I'll catch you all in the next video.